Hello friends, today's topic is about clinical application of osmolarity. So particularly plasma osmolarity is very useful to understand clinical picture like diabetes as well as altered sodium level. So how it is useful, that we will look in this video. So first of all, osmolarity. So simple meaning of osmolarity, that is number of moles or millimole of solute which is present per kilogram of solution. While when we are talking about plasma osmolarity, it is mainly exerted by sodium because sodium is the main solute in the plasma. Same way for the intracellular fluid, potassium is the main solute. So intracellular fluid osmolarity is mainly exerted by the potassium. While we are talking about plasma osmolarity, this plasma osmolarity is calculated by one formula, that is 2 into sodium plus urea and glucose. All value of sodium, urea and glucose, that is in a millimole per liter. Roughly it is taking 140 millimole for the sodium, 5 plus urea, 5 for the urea, 5 millimole per liter, and for the glucose also 5 millimole per liter. So 140 into 2, that is 280 plus 5 plus 5, so around 290. That is the normal plasma osmolality. So normal plasma osmolality around 285 to 295 milliosmol per liter. So how exactly this plasma osmolality is exerted, that we will look in this table. So it is exerted by sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, urea, glucose and protein all together. But sodium is playing about 270 of the total plasma osmolality, around 92% of the plasma osmolality. So it is playing main role. But these other are all together making about 8% of the total plasma osmolality. Now, how this osmolarity, particularly plasma osmolarity, is useful in clinical practice, that we will discuss. So first of all, you have to remember one term, that is effective osmolarity. This term is used for the solute that determine the water movement across the cell membrane. So particular solute, when it is present in the plasma, they will decide the water movement across the cell membrane. So in relation to that, you have to remember two type of the solute. One are the permeable, second one that is the impermeable. First we will talk about the permeable. So permeable solutes like urea and alcohol, when urea and alcohol level is increased in the plasma, they will increase the osmolality, but they will not make any shifting of the water movement. So but there is no changing, no water movement will be there because they are the permeable. When the level of urea and alcohol that will increase, they will go across the cell and they will not make any changes. Overall increase osmolarity is there. When osmolarity is increased, we have to come down again to a normal range of about 285 to 295, but there is a no movement of the water molecules observed because they are the permeable solute. So there is a no problem in relation to permeable solutes like urea and alcohol. But suppose impermeable solutes increase in the plasma. So when there is an impermeable solute like glucose and mannitol are increased in the extracellular fluid, particularly in the plasma, when this type of molecule is increased, then what happen? Water will shift from the intracellular, means water which is present inside the cell, that will go outside of the cell in the extracellular fluid, means from the cell it will go into the plasma. So overall what happen? Water content of the cell that will be decreased. So when this glucose and mannitol level is increased in the plasma, they will shift water from the cell to the extracellular fluid to again maintain this osmolality. And what happen if excessive amount of glucose and mannitol is there? Suppose there is an increase of this glucose level for every 100 milligram per deciliter. So normally it is for the fasting, that is 90 to 110 milligram per deciliter in the so if that glucose level is increased by 100 milligrams, suppose any person have a glucose value of more than 200 milligrams, so about more than 100 milligram is increased, then what happen? That sodium level will be decreased by the 1.5 millimole per liter. So when glucose level is increased by 100, sodium level will be decreased by the 1.5 millimole per liter. Why it is occurring? Because this glucose is present in the plasma, so water is coming outside from the cell into the extracellular fluid in the plasma. So water level is increased in the plasma, so sodium content is already normal, so that is about 140, but there is an increased water movement, water content of the plasma. So what happen? Overall, suppose it is 140, now it will become down to 138.5. so there is a dilutional hyponatremia will be there. So that dilutional hyponatremia, that is occurring due to high level of the glucose, so that you have to keep in mind. In diabetes mellitus, uncontrolled diabetes mellitus, suppose glucose level is 300 and 400, then sometime there is, suppose that sodium level is about just 136 millimole per liter. Now there is a 300 milligram, so about 200 milligram more glucose is there. So already value of 136, now further dilution will be there, so there is a 3 millimole will be decreased. So now your value of sodium will be 133, but you have to remember that it is not actually 133, actually it is 136. So there is a dilutional hyponatremia will be seen when there is an uncontrolled diabetes mellitus and there is a increased glucose level. Same thing can be happen in a mannitol, that can also lead to the dilutional hyponatremia. So hence the plasma sodium is considered a reliable index. Suppose hyponatremia is there, but there is an increased level of glucose is seen, so that is called as a reliable index of the total and effective osmolarity in normal and clinical situation. Not only that, sodium and glucose level, sometimes other molecule they are also making effect over the overall osmolarity, like crystalloids and water, they can easily diffuse across the cell membrane, but an osmotic gradient is mainly provided by the non-diffusal colloidal particles, that is like protein. So protein is also important part of the plasma protein particularly. So this colloid osmotic pressure which is exerted by the protein is the main factor which maintain the water content inside the cell as well as intravascular compartment. So water is mainly maintained with the help of colloid osmotic pressure. When this value of this non-diffusible colloidal particle is affected, then that will affect the overall water content or water movement will be affected. So if this pressure is reduced, particularly colloid osmotic pressure is reduced, what happen, fluid will go outside of the intracellular and intravascular compartment, so that will extravasate and accumulated in the interstitial space, and that will lead to the edema. So simply we are already knowing that hypoproteinemia or hypoalbuminemia, that is also leading to the edema. So that same effect of the colloid osmotic pressure is affected. So that's all about the effective osmolarity and how this osmolarity is very useful to understand particular clinical condition.